Hey, my name is Ben Freer, and on this video, I'm going to answer this question for you. Should you apply for the E-2 visa without an immigration lawyer? So recently I was contacted by somebody who had some questions about the E-2 visa. We had a great conversation. I gave her a lot of information. And then about a week later, I followed up and I gave her a call to see if she had any additional questions. And she told me that she talked to a friend of hers with knowledge about the E-2 visa process. And this friend told her that she really doesn't need a lawyer, and she can do it on her own. Now, this puts us in a really awkward situation because it seems completely self-serving if we rattle off all the reasons why our services are actually needed. But at the same time, we're doing the person a huge disservice if we tell them that it's easy. Now, when it comes to this question, should I use an E-2 visa lawyer? I'm clearly biased, and I'm biased for three main reasons. The first reason is that I love working on these cases. My E-2 visa clients teach me invaluable lessons about entrepreneurship, persistence, and life in general. And obviously, since I love working with these clients, I want to serve as many of them as possible. And the third reason why I'm biased is that I firmly believe that immigration lawyers do add a lot of value to the E-2 visa process. Now, accepting the fact that I'm completely biased, I'm still going to give you three reasons why it's a good idea to hire a lawyer. And then after I do that, I'm going to give you sort of a profile of the type of person who might be able to do this on their own. Now, the first reason why you should hire a lawyer is that it will save you time and it will save you from committing errors. Now, let me be clear. Every single client who has ever hired me had the ability to do this on their own. But they hired me because they didn't want to invest a huge amount of time to learn everything that they would need to know. And they thought that I would do a slightly better job. Now, we're all capable of doing great things, but that doesn't mean that we want to take on projects that we don't find enjoyable that are going to eat up a ton of our time. For example, while I'm not handy at all, I have the ability to complete basic home improvement projects. However, I rarely take on these projects. Instead, I will happily hire someone because one, I don't like home improvement projects. Two, they will take up too much of my time. And three, someone else will do a much better job. You can look at the E-2 visa application in a similar manner. If you're really amped up about learning about E-2 visa law and you want to devote 40, 50 hours of your time to learning everything that you know to avoid a rejection, then maybe you should consider doing your own E-2 visa. On the other hand, if you know that you will not enjoy the process and you would rather focus on the things that you are really good at, then it makes sense to hire an E-2 visa lawyer. If you decide to go down this path without fully committing to learning everything or hiring a knowledgeable immigration lawyer, then your E-2 visa application is destined to be a flop. The second reason why you should hire a lawyer is that immigration lawyer fees are counted as part of the investment. Now, one of the great things about the E-2 visa is that there's no actual minimum investment amount. So as long as you meet all the other requirements, you can get by on a pretty modest investment. Despite this truth, very small investments are viewed with skepticism. And this makes sense. If you're investing $15,000, $20,000 in a US business, have you really done enough? Is this business really going to be able to employ other people down the road? An adjudicator is going to be skeptical of a very low investment. So whenever I talk to potential clients who are interested in making a very small investment, I tell them not to skimp on professional services. Resist that urge. Because professional services, like an accountant, like a lawyer, like a business plan writer, all of these services are going to help your business and they're going to count towards the investment total This could be the difference between an accepted application and a rejection. The third reason why you want to consider hiring an immigration lawyer is that an immigration lawyer is going to add polish to your application. It will be more precise, organized, and persuasive. You will have a business plan that demonstrates how the requirements have been met. The supporting documents will be complete, and you will have a compelling memo in support of your application. You will also be ready for the interview. In short, by using an immigration lawyer, you're going to be in a much better position to clearly demonstrate to the adjudicator that you meet all of the requirements of the E-2 visa and that you're coming to the United States to run a real business. So while it's generally a terrible idea to apply for the E-2 visa without a lawyer, there are some people who are better suited, better situated to make a successful application without using assistance. Consider these questions to assess if you're a good candidate for a DIY E-2 visa application. The first question is, do you enjoy learning about the law? And if you don't, if that sounds super boring to you, then this is probably not a task that you would want to take on. The second question is, will you be able to devote 40 to 50 hours of your time to learn about the E-2 visa and carefully assemble your application to ensure that you have met all of the requirements? The third question is, have you already committed a significant amount of money to the E-2 business? And generally, the amount here that I'm talking about is about $100,000 or more. If you've committed $100,000 to a business already, then you really don't need any additional expenditures to show that you have made an investment, a significant investment in this commercial enterprise. And finally, are you willing to pay for some resources that are going to increase the likelihood that you will make a successful application? So if you can answer these questions in the affirmative and you actually want to take on this challenge, then I'm going to offer some resources that are going to help you along the way. First of all, I have a free E-2 visa guide that can be found on my website. And there are similar guides on the web that have all been prepared by fantastic immigration lawyers. I recommend that you read all of them. Now, these guides don't constitute legal advice, but they will give you a solid foundation of knowledge. Also, it's important to take a look at the Foreign Affairs Manual section on treaty trader visas. This manual will actually show you what the government looks for in an E-2 visa application. Now, if you're applying through a consulate, it's going to be important for you to review the specific instructions on the consulate website. All consulates have a different way of going about things. They all want you to submit the application and the supporting documents in different specific ways. So make sure you read those instructions. If you're applying through USCIS, read the information about the E-2 visa on the website, and also review the instructions and carefully look at the Form I-129, which is the form that you're going to be using to actually request E-2 visa status. Also, it would be helpful if you would look at the AILA Business Immigration Practice Manual. Now, this is a 2-book series that's probably going to be overkill for your needs. But there is an amazing section on the E-2 visa, and it could be really helpful. So hopefully this information was helpful. If it was, please like it. Feel free to reach out to me. And thank you so much for your time.